Have I been a...
We're on. Hey there, we are back, and we have a couple more strategies, some tips for you as you shelter in place from a 7-year warrior couple of sheltering in place. And the next one that we want to talk about is embrace the unknown as a way of life. It's faith defined. It's the whole definition of faith. But to embrace the unknown as a way of life, when you shelter in place, when you supernaturally, when we were called to this assignment of literally sheltering in place for 7 years, unknown was the definition of our everyday journey. It was just everything, so many things were unknown. So I'm going to go ahead and let you go ahead and share it with the peeps, but.
Okay. I'll give you a little bit of history about us. When we first met, I lived in Philadelphia and she lived here in Columbus. And so when we knew that this was going to be permanent and we had to decide, okay, who was moving where, she was willing to move to Philly and I was like, okay, I'm willing to move here, but which one was going to make the move? She would have been open to it, but you know, she really wasn't, quite frankly, she wasn't prepared for that lifestyle. Ohio had not prepared her for Philadelphia or New York.
And I'm okay with that. And I'm okay with that.
And quite honestly, while I was used to that environment, I actually liked it here. So I decided to come here.
Go Bucks. O-H-I-O.
And I had a lot of friends ask me, you ain't got no people out there. You ain't got, okay. You know, God told Abram, go to a land that I'll show you. He didn't even tell him where he was going. He was like, just start walking. I'll tell you when you're there. And so I've used him and other figures in the Bible as templates, okay, in the unknown. And during this sequestering period, there's been some really unusual opportunities that have opened up to me only because I was here. So they were things that I didn't know were possible. There were things that I didn't know were people I didn't know were even alive on this planet that have become very integral in our lives and have been godsend lifesavers during this journey. But I had to embrace the fact that I was moving from my home state of Pennsylvania to a state I'd driven through twice. That didn't even, only time I stopped in Ohio was at a rest stop, okay, prior. And so it changed my life, and obviously it changed her life, because here we are. So that's where I want to take it for now.
Okay. So just embrace the unknown as a way of life. The everyday, something new may be coming. You know, we've witnessed that with the sheltering in place specifically, where each day there's another thing. You know, first they closed. Well, first they kind of, here in Columbus, Ohio, we had a major function. You may or may not have heard of the Arnold Classic, but they canceled it. And I think that was one of the first major things that happened, where you have all these athletes who are coming in to compete, and it was canceled. It was downsized, where the public wasn't allowed. And I tell you, it probably could have turned out to be a catastrophe because of what we are seeing happening with the coronavirus now, because when you go to the classic specifically, it's like sardines. We're packed in there where you can barely move around. I mean, it's just a huge event with a large draw. So it was a wise decision, regardless of the money that was lost from it. It was a wise decision to not have us all packed in there like that, because I think we'd be hearing some very sad stories at this point as a result. However, the next time that we heard, kids were told they couldn't you know, that you get an extra week for spring break, and now we still don't know. It's unknown, right? And then they started closing. They said, well, don't have more than 100 people gathered at one time. Where's some other things? You know, we've been progressively put into a place of shelter in place. I can't think of it. They closed certain stores and kind of gatherings, you know, spas and barbershops, you know, and I think before that they closed the gyms and the libraries. And
now they've shut down all the sports. So, I mean, you know, it's
which is
serious.
what's allowing us to be able to record these videos in the first place, because I'm no longer a sports widow. I'm so excited about that, you guys.
Okay, and just in case you guys were wondering, I'm a hockey guy.
He's a hockey, he's a baseball, he's a football. He told me he wasn't a basketball, but I've been seeing a lot of basketball on TV too lately. And I'm like, well, not lately, but I mean, I'm smelling on the inside.
Anyway, so, and this is the person who, when I first came out to visit her on our first weekend in date, she took me to a hockey game. Okay. First period of the game, she's sitting there reading the book. By the third period, she's on her feet jumping, get it out the zone, get it out the zone. And me and other people in the row were like, where did this hockey fan come from? Okay. So don't let her fool you.
It's a good game. It's a good game. And it was Blackhawks and the Blue Jackets. So it was a good game because they did everything. Everything that he told me would happen in the game happened in that game. It was great. So, and I just didn't like the cannonball shots. You know, those were loud, and we were literally diagonally across from it, so it was scary.
But it was fun.
Yeah.
Thing is this: why are we shutting down? I just want to give you a little point as to why everything is being shut down the way it is. What a lot of people don't realize, in this entire world system that we have, insurance companies rule everything. If you can't get liability insurance, you can't open up a grocery store. You can't have trucks on the road. You can't have a sporting event. You can't have planes in the air. And the Arnold Classic, I believe, was canceled because you have almost 2 million people over a 4-day period coming through that place. And it's more cost effective for the insurance companies to pay for the lost revenues than the lawsuits of if any of those people got sick. So that's why they shut down the sports stadiums. The same thing with all the major leagues. And when they shut down March Madness, I was like, yeah, it's easier to pay the NCAA $1 billion and have no lawsuits than having 1 billion lawsuits.
He speaks with wisdom. I think they also care about our safety and our health too.
Yeah, they do, but don't get it twisted.
Right.
This is the world that we live in.
It's an interesting point. I never thought about it that way.
So I just want to add that in. Please continue.
Okay, so anything else about the unknown?
The unknown, I don't know if any of you get the daily prophetic words or different groups that are on Facebook and other places. I've seen over the last 5 or 6 months, but intently in the last 6 weeks, multiple downloads where God has been saying, I'm taking you to a place you haven't seen before. You can choose to stay stuck in what's comfortable, or you can go where I take you. Choice is yours. But you will get left behind if you choose to stay where you are. And the thing is that you never grow and learn. We just had a friend of ours, him and his wife just had a baby a couple of days ago. And the baby has to grow. She's only going to be a baby for a certain amount of time. She's only going to be a toddler for a certain amount of time. She's going to be a small child for a certain amount of time, and so forth and so on. And the thing is that in our faith walk and in this time of, consider it a growth spurt, we have to grow and change. We have to learn. Even the scriptures talk about the meat of the word coming after you get the milk, just like with a baby. You have to grow, because the fight's only going to get harder whether you grow or not. So wouldn't you rather be a much more mature and prepared Christian for this fight than a babe being attacked by some very powerful, heartless, merciless entities that want to destroy you.
So we're talking about the blind faith, walking by faith, basically, and just expecting the unknown to happen. Just expect that to be your way of life. And if you expect it, you're prepared for it. If you're prepared for it, then you can walk it out. If you walk it out, then you'll be victorious on the other side because you'll get there. But if you're not prepared for it, it can blindside you and maybe even take you out for the count. So
yeah, and that's one of the things that I do is I try to look at life and I try to look at our experiences like I'm watching a movie. Okay. There's always twists and turns. You don't know what the twists and turns are going to be, but you know that you're safe. And that's where I tell people, when you hold on to your faith will hold you up, because your faith will allow you to be comfortable and okay during the unknown. When the change happens, it may surprise you, but it won't terrify you. And when you hold on to the knowledge that he knows everything, he knew it before you were born, and he knew you would face it, but he's also never going to leave you. He's never going to forsake you. Then you know he's in it with you. And that's an important comfort to have, regardless of what the change is, how many changes come, which direction it comes from. And you will get some surprising changes. You will find people who, like Peter said, Lord, I'm with you to the end. And he looked at him and said, yeah, 3 times a night, you act like you don't know me. And so don't be surprised, because also Peter got redeemed. Not everybody will, but just keep in mind, everybody is redeemable until the Lord shows you that they're not. So, just keep those things in mind.
And the next tip that we have is find the free stuff. Want to lighten this up a little bit. This is one for your body and for your soul. Go on a scavenger hunt. One of the things that I have enjoyed actually doing with lack of resources, sometimes financially specifically, is going to the clearance aisles in the stores. I like looking for the items with the stickers on them, and each store has their own little stickers system. I like doing that. But also the free stuff. I've noticed that on the internet that there has been a lot, like on Facebook, there's a lot of resources for the students so that they can continue their education while they're sheltering in place. And there's people who are publishing information about, here are these free art experiences, here are these museum experiences, here's this reading, here's this math, here's this, all these different type of learning things. And a lot of them have always been free. But someone has resourced them, they've gone out, they've put all the information together, and then they're sending it out for you to see. But look for the free stuff. Don't feel like you have to go spend your life savings in order to accommodate the sheltering in place moment or season that we're in. Instead, look for the things that will complement this season and propel you to your next in this season that have no price tag at all. And some of the best things in life are free. They say they're not, but yeah, they are free. Can you think of anything that was free that you're like, it was a great experience? Or that may be a female thing, kind of couponing, right?
Well, one of the things that I know that I'm more times than not guilty of is I like what I like, and I get into a routine with things. And I'm not going to say this with all things, but I will say that there are things that if you're open to try, you may actually enjoy them. You may actually find that you like them. Now, you may not want to do them all the time as part of your routine, but experiencing new things also prepares your mind to experience other new things.
Like one of the things is, and I'm not saying that he wouldn't go to a musical or something with me, but one of the free things that we experienced is we tuned into PBS and saw 1 or 2 musicals, at least one. And did we see 2? I saw about like 3 or 4, but and it just took me back nostalgically to when I used to perform in the theater and all of that. I don't sing, but the other aspects of performance on stage. But we watched this performance together. It was free, and it was maybe something he's not going to do week in and weekend out. No, he's going to watch his hockey, his football, his baseball, and basketball, and but the thing is that we did spend that time together, and we were able to enjoy that, and it was a new experience, and it was free. That's the part I want to emphasize with this particular strategy. Find the free stuff.
And it was interesting too, because it was a African American take on a Shakespearean play, and
it was good.
It was actually,
it was really good.
It was really enjoyable. But and I want to thank God that as a teenager I was involved with a program called Upward Bound, and they took us to see Dreamgirls as a teenager with Jennifer Holliday. I saw the original in New York on Broadway, so I was open to musicals. I like opera too, but we haven't had a chance to do that, and that tends not to be free either. But the thing is that
actually right now I have seen a couple things where they do have some operas and some other things during this whole sheltering in place that the world is going through. They have some things. So since he brought it up, guess what we're gonna be doing real soon?
Okay, now I'm gonna show my age. If she can find an opera that includes Kill the Wabbit, I'm in. Okay, I happen to like Wagner. Okay, that's the line goal.
So act it out for them.
I don't have my spirit magic helmet.
Doesn't matter. Pretend. Make believe. Use your imagination.
Northwinds blow, southwinds blow, hurricane, typhoon, spike. How was it? North winds blow, south winds blow, hurricanes, typhoons, earthquakes, smog. Sorry. I like Elmer's part. Anyway.
He also likes Pulp Fiction. You gonna do that one?
Step aside, Butch.
That's all we get. Too many cuss words, right?
Right. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Just step aside. Okay, we're good. Okay,
yeah, we good.
Focus. Squirrel. We talked about that. Those squirrels. Fight the distractions. Fight the free stuff. Clearance aisles. Go on a scavenger hunt. Make it fun, but focus on the fact that you're not trying to spend your last pennies on that. And then the last one we're going to go over is back to the basics. Now, y'all know with everything in this sheltering in place experience has done, it's the same thing that we went through. When we went through that 7-year period, we went back to the basics. I started doing my own hair. The salons are closed now. He always, did his own hair. Cooking, a lot more home cooking is happening right now. That's something we enjoy doing.
I mean, but I always cook.
Yeah, you did, but we also did a lot of restaurant. We streamlined our restaurant or eating out process, and we did a lot more back at home.
And it was funny.
He kicked me out the kitchen anyway, so I gotta cook. I got a chef, y'all. Don't be jelly.
It's funny too, because I found some recipes on Facebook that I actually have used. I learned this one type of recipe where you make the Szechuan sauce with garlic and ginger, and now she tries to find stuff that I can make that for, because it's spicy,
but it's good.
It's good.
It's good. I know we're detracting here a little bit, but that's okay. It's just
we're just giving you examples,
right? And it's so funny. I'll come downstairs to the man cave, if you will, and he'll be like online on Facebook, and I'm like, why are we looking at food? He's like saving these recipes and everything. I'm like, hey, my belly gets a little excited and everything. So, okay, so back to basics. We see the homeschooling that's going on right now. We see the restaurants are closed, so there's the cooking at home that's going on. The relationships, that's a good area for you to get back to the basics. Don't run to your mobile devices. Don't run to that. Don't run to the TV or to a book by yourself. You know, I saw this like meme video where there's this guy, this father, and his kids are calling him, and he has his poster board, and he blends into the background. So when the kid runs in and looks around, can't find him supposedly because that poster board looks like the backdrop of the room. And it's like, no, this is back to the basics. This is the time where we're supposed to be spending time with each other. We're supposed to be grounding relationships out. Once we got over that whole deliverance concern in our relationship, how many hours we get lost just sitting there talking to each other?
You know, and that's the thing. Over these years, we'll sit without phones or TVs, and we'll start talking, and next thing you know, 4 to 5 hours have disappeared. She'll say, I just want to ask you a question about something.
That's a risky thing here in this household.
and it's kind of funny because it's a good thing I can program the DVR from my phone, because I'll like, oh, okay, they about to drop the puck here. Hold on, let me put this on record. Okay, fine. So now I don't care. I'm just sitting there, and next thing you know, the post game show is on, and it's like 3 hours later. But I'm like, that's cool because I got to spend time with her. Or she'll say, do you want to have dinner with me? And I'm like, yeah, okay, that's fine. But then there's something else I do with my phone with her. Many of us have smartphones. Very few of us don't. I guess there's less that don't than ones who do. But you can go get free astronomy apps where on a night that's clear, you want to do something, go outside and just hold the phone up to the sky. And as you move it, it tells you what you're looking at. And so that's something that, it'll tell you the stars, the constellations, where the planets are. If you point it towards the ground, it'll tell you what's on the other side of the planet at that time. Now, some people may think that's kind of a geeky kind of thing, but it's like, if you ever looked up and wondered what was up there, you can now go up there and see. And it's free. And it's something nice.
We're not talking about free stuff anymore.
But it's something
we're talking about back to the basics.
But it's basic, it's free, and it incorporates your technology.
There's something profound that he said the other day, and I wrote it down. I'm going to steal it now because I'm the one who wrote it down, and he's not going to remember it until it gets out my mouth. I see him peeking over my sheet. It's like, do you enjoy the person or what the person represents? And he was speaking about when we're talking about relationships. It's like, now you're back to the basics where you are getting to know the people that are in your own household and that are, that are close to you. And the thing is that do you like the person or what the person represents? I'm gonna let him take that one because it's pretty deep, and I think you guys are gonna enjoy what he has to say.
Okay, what I was talking about was, in today's society, a lot of times we do resume relationships. And what I mean by that is each person has a checklist of what they want in a mate, and that could be education level, income level, prestige, physical body parts, how a person looks, how many muscles they have, their curve, their shape, whatever the case is. It's a checklist, and I call them resume relationships, because if you have what's on the resume, then that's the person that you're going to be with. But what do you do when your trophy wife, or...
Why are you pointing at me when you say trophy wife? Am I a trophy wife?
Yes, so let's just keep moving.
But I am? I'm a trophy wife?
For me, yeah.
I thought trophy wives were bad things.
God said I would need you. He gave me,
so I'm God's trophy to you?
Yeah. I mean, he told me. But anyway, the point is,
we're going to talk about this offline. I'm like, because trophy wives are usually the bad thing.
Okay.
They're like the ones that look good. They're arm candy.
But you know what?
They might not have no brain cells.
But here's the thing I'm saying.
They're external package.
Here's the thing I'm saying. Your namesake, Esther, was a prize to have.
Yeah, she was a trophy.
She was a trophy, but she was a woman of God.
The
world has corrupted.
She freed them people. She's like Harriet Tubman.
Right, but the world has corrupted what that meant. Okay,
this is true.
And so what I'm saying to you is, I'm going back to how God used it. So let's just go there.
He cleaned that up good, didn't he?
No, I mean, no.
He went to the Bible for it. I'm telling you.
But see, here's the thing.
He cleaned that up good.
I didn't have to think about truth. I know it. There you go.
There you go.
Okay. So what I'm saying is, in resume relationships, you're not driving around in somebody's car and showboating and shining.
Not when you're sheltering in place, you're not.
Not when you're sheltering in place. Them high heels and them tight skirts. Well, you're not really trying to put all that on just to go between rooms in your house. And the thing is, your choice in a mate, your choice in a relationship is either going to be confirmed or exposed. And I've said this before because this is so important, is your relationship real? That's one of the things that's going to be tested when you're in what I call the petri dish.
Back to the basics.
You're in a sequestered area. You can't leave except for specific circumstances. And it's not just the weekend. It's not like you have a snow event and once they clear the roads, you can go back out. No, they say in 2 weeks now, 3 weeks now, they can always extend it. So, do you enjoy the person? Do you really have things in common? And if the answer is yes, great. Explore those things and find out what else could be there.
Don't let this be a period of division. Let it be of multiplication, maybe, addition.
But but if you're getting more no's than yeses, then you might want to explore, well, what was your motivation in the first place? Were you doing a checklist, or did this person really appeal to you? Does the person appeal to you? And if you're in a committed relationship, you're in a marriage, and you want to make it work at this point, to sit down and relearn the person.
Now let me explain to you what just happened. Had some men throw some like daggers at him because he's exposing all the game, and you had some women just screwed up a little bit closer with some popcorn and some tea to hear what he had to say. That's what just happened in this moment. So go ahead.
But the thing is, guys, before you throw daggers at me, okay, before you throw daggers at me, ask yourself this: how many times, and you're really gonna hate this question. I'm gonna tell you that right now. You're gonna be so mad I asked this question. But how many times have you seen someone on TV, seen someone at work, in the store, and you had a flash thought in your mind that was lustful? How many times have you thought about what she used to look like when you met her versus what she looks like now? Okay.
Now that she done had your babies.
Right. And, both of us at different times in recent past have been in totally different weight classes, up and down. Okay. But that was never a factor in our lives. Okay. I didn't get.
But I like his muscles. I do.
I didn't give her any less praise with weight, or when she was competing in a pageant and she lost a lot of weight. I never looked elsewhere because in my mind it was settled. This is my wife. Okay. God made a lot of women, but he sent her to me. And I am very, very grateful that and I'm also understanding that I'm responsible for her. I will have to give account for her.
Now we done ventured off back to the basics, but this was a good conversation.
But no, this is a basic.
But I want to say something too. And when I said that about the men and the women, it's a true statement, but it works in the reverse too. Women, sometimes we look for the wrong things in men and say, oh, we can either change them, or we'll say, oh, we're going to be able to put up with this or whatever. But when you shelter it in place, you better make sure that you can handle that too, because it's just you and your boo. And so, make sure that you have made those wise decisions, and that you are working towards a healthy relationship. Some things are going to get revealed. We said that the reveal is real in a previous strategy, but yeah.
And also, one of the things that I will say I've seen in a lot of relationships I've had this problem in previous relationships too, is when you get external people trying to make internal decisions for you, with you.
That should be another strategy in itself.
Right.
This is added in there. That's another strategy.
Right.
Don't let external people.
Right. Because, you know, there are some people who didn't understand me, still don't, and that's okay. She didn't let that affect us.
They're the ones who got pruned, not him. Like,
and I had nothing to do with it. I didn't say anything to her. Because see, for me, it didn't matter what they said because I know what God said. And so that's what I'm saying to you. It's like, whatever, man. you know. But at the same time, he told me I would need her, and he told her, "This is your husband," and she listened. And this is what I'm saying about in this time of shelter in place. This is a really good time to reaffirm what brought you together, expose what could be problematic for your relationships, and work on both accordingly. So that's my take.
And so with that, we'll be back.